This is your Thursday devotion. I'm finally catching up and actually going to get it out on Thursday night, so you'll get two today, or you can look at one for today and look at the other one for tomorrow. But we're looking at Jesus on prayer, and we're looking at not only what he wrote about praying, but what he actually prayed. And we've looked at two of his prayers in our previous devotion for Wednesday, and we want to look at two more today. Remember, I've identified 16 prayers, and we've seen that 13 of them are intercessory prayers, or at least I interpret them to be intercessory prayers. And three of them are thanksgiving prayers, giving thanks for something. And so today we're going to work through chronologically, as we did yesterday, from Matthew, then to Mark, then Luke and John. And we're looking at Matthew 26:26, the third of Jesus' prayers. A very short prayer, verse 26. While they were eating, Jesus took some bread, and after blessing it, he spoke and gave it to his disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." Well, it's a thanksgiving for the food, but his prayer, obviously, we don't have recorded for us. We do know that he blessed the bread. I doubt seriously that all he said was, "Bless this bread." My guess is that he prayed for his disciples and for what was coming, where he would actually represent the bread, that he would become the physical substance of the symbolic bread, which is broken for them. And so again, I put it into a category of being a intercessory thanksgiving type of prayer, because it deals with our salvation and the fact that Jesus said that he would be broken for our transgressions, and that he would be pierced through for our transgressions, and by his scourgings we are healed. And it would be lovely to be able to hear the prayer that Jesus gave over the bread. Nevertheless, the prayer is not recorded specifically. It just says he blessed the bread. And undoubtedly it was more than bless this bread. But the second prayer that we'll look at tonight is found in Matthew 26:36 through 44. Again, it's a salvation and God's will intercessory type prayer, because this is the prayer that we find of the Garden of Gethsemane. And we know that he had his disciples sit a distance off. He went over to pray. And we know here, because the prayer is recorded for us, that he prayed if the cup could pass from him, that he really would appreciate that. Nevertheless, God's will be done. And we see his praying about the coming events where he would become our sacrifice for our sin and become the payment for our sin, if you will, on the cross of Calvary. And at the same time, he comes back a couple of times and finds his disciples sleeping. And I would imagine that in the midst of that intercessory prayer, which we have to a large degree recorded for us, there was probably also some words about his disciples and praying for them, and how they would react to his death, crucifixion, death, and resurrection. But again, once again, we have a salvation type intercessory prayer, and perhaps a prayer for his disciples. And we see how serious he was about this prayer, where we learn a very important principle about when we pray, it's not to bring God into conformity with our will, but it's to bring our will in conformity with God's will. And so that's your thought for the day. We'll look at two more of his prayers tomorrow, and we'll work through all of these 16 prayers, and I hope that you'll enjoy thinking about what Jesus prayed. You'll be able to look up these references, see them in full context. You can do some divine speculation with me about what maybe Jesus said in his prayer when he blessed the bread in the upper room with his disciples, celebrating the Passover, but also the symbolic picture of what Christ would do for us on the cross of Calvary. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.